I guess it's been about a year, a little over a year since I posted a video on Instagram, and a day or two later, I'd noticed that the video was doing rather well on Instagram, getting a lot of views and likes. It was picked up by quite a few major accounts with millions of followers where they reposted the video. And someone sent me a direct message, a couple people actually, and told me that it had made the front page of Reddit. I'm still not perfectly familiar with what Reddit is, but it's a very popular website where people, I guess, share the best of the internet or something, and they have all sorts of conversations about all sorts of topics. I guess I'm just proving what I just said, that I don't really know what Reddit is. Haven't spent any time on there. I'm older than Reddit, far older than Reddit. My website is a year older than Google. Reddit's just a little bit too new, although I'm on Instagram. And somebody told me that, they said, your video just broke the internet. That was their way of saying that I had made it to the front page of Reddit with that Orchid Mantis video on my Instagram channel. And that was just a really cool feeling to hear, someone say that to me. And it's that phrase that I have in mind when I look back at this week I just had here about how you guys, my customers, broke bugs in cyberspace. And I don't know where I'm going to go with this video. I know it's going to be a rant because it's been a really long, hard week. Maybe I don't deserve to get on here and let you guys in through the window to my soul just yet, because I only have about 3,000 subscribers here. But what's the point of having a YouTube channel? I watch other YouTube channels. I have since YouTube started. My website, I'm sure, is older than YouTube as well. Google owns it. I'm a year older than Google. Anyway, I was there in the beginning. I put my original YouTube channel up in 2008. I'm gonna rant here a little bit, and I just want you guys to understand me, understand how hard I try, what I deal with, how hard I work, and also how much I love what I do. I feel very fortunate to be able to do what I love. I don't know too many people who really do what they love, but I really do what I love. There's no other job in the world I'd rather be doing than the job here, Bugs in Cyberspace, my website that I made. I put that website up in 1997. I didn't ever expect it to be a business. It took many years for it to go from being a hobby website to a business. But it's been a wonderful journey, and like I've said in some of the Q&A videos in the past that maybe some of you guys have watched, I didn't exactly choose this for myself. I just loved bugs, and I loved networking and interacting with other people who love bugs. And really, it's not untrue or inaccurate for me to say that you guys chose me to have this business. I just never stopped. I just never stopped working all day, every day, associating with other people online about bugs. And the more I did it, the more I became a resource, I guess, for the bugs. And it's been a wonderful journey. But in today's video, I'm going to let you in on a little bit of history, a little bit of awareness about just what my last week has been like here. This may be a case like younger women on Instagram or on social media say sometimes, where they say, felt cute, may delete later. I don't know if I'm just gonna let this whole thing run through, or if I'm just gonna edit things out, but here we go. Let's see, it's Thursday night. It's been one of the longest weeks of my life. Didn't plan on shipping any packages on Thursday this week, but we got so far behind. And before I go on a little bit of a rant about that, I want to say thank you, all of you who placed orders in the past week. I have to believe that there are quite a few of you who are watching this video who are subscribed to my YouTube channel who placed orders this past week. And part of the reason for that suspicion is because we had so many orders this past week. I don't know if I even really want to say this, but that was an email right there. Many of you probably don't, you hear me say sometimes, you know, how long my hours are, how hard I work, that I work 16-hour days pretty frequently. This last week, you guys broke bugs in cyberspace in a way that it has never been broken before. It was a really tough week. In the last 21 days, 3 weeks, you guys have placed through one of my websites, and I also take orders directly through PayPal outside of the website. I have another website that's rather large, and you know, in the top 5 at least 3 times for the words "buy dead insects" on Google, called deadinsects.net. Now, the joke about my dead insect website right now, because it depends largely on sales from schools, students, researchers, you know, people at universities doing projects. That website is mostly dead right now because the schools are out. And because of that, I had actually let one of my employees go that I was expecting to have for 3 days a week during this busier time of year. Normally I run 2 employees here. In addition to myself working all day, every day, I've got 2 employees that come in and help out. And because a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago now, the Dead Insect website, which normally picks up this time of year because of school projects and, you know, spring flowering and the bugs coming back out and the teachers doing their insect units, I normally get slammed pretty hard with sales for that website as well this time of year, and again in the fall. Because the schools were out, I'm not seeing the orders on that website so much. I am still seeing some orders, and there's always artists that make purchases through that website because, you know, art is a forever kind of thing, while insect units at schools is just during the nicer months of the year. But so it's just me and Jessica. Jessica has been working for me for a very long time, 3 or 4 years now. She's just the best employee I've ever had. I can't begin to say how much I appreciate her. She's been working longer hours all week with me. I've been working longer hours too. And I've got a few notes here just because I didn't know what I was going to make a video about this week. Last week, I tend to make these videos on Thursdays and process them on Thursday nights, edit them and things like that. Last week I had originally planned on making another care sheet kind of video. A couple of my prior videos were very well received by you guys. And we've got a contest to finish up here in a few moments, where I had in the prior video about the sawtooth millipedes. I had asked you a few questions, and people had made comments down below. One of the questions was, what kind of video did you want me to make last week? And I ended up throwing up an Arizona video after all, because I saw the perfect storm, as I like to say, forming. Something very interesting happened a couple weeks after I laid off that second employee, and she was a relatively new employee, and it was hard to let her go. It was interesting to be in this position, actually, for the first time in the 23 years I've had my website up, of this whole social distancing thing within the workplace here. My bug room, which I've never showed to you guys exactly. Some of you have maybe seen pictures of it here and there, or if you're looking very carefully, you can see things in the background sometimes. If I've been filming something down there, maybe on my Instagram channel, for example, I can tell already that my mind is going to wander far and wide during this video. A quick word about Instagram. There's a little section in the upper right corner of the screen for those of you who may also be following me there. And I think the majority of my followers here on YouTube are probably also following me on Instagram, but it's a newer social media platform, obviously, than YouTube. And anyway, in the upper right-hand corner, there's this little section called requests. And that section of the inbox usually is from people who may not be following me but have questions. Anyway, I have a couple hundred messages in that section that I've not gotten to because I've been so crazy busy since April began, really, since this whole COVID-19 thing began, I should say. And then in the inbox itself on Instagram, I don't even know how many messages I am behind. Like I said a few moments ago, bugs in cyberspace broke this week. Not for a long time have I been this overwhelmed with orders. And so this video here, I might show you guys some other things, and we have the contest, the drawing to do, and I'll do that here a little bit later in the video, where we pick a winner from last week's comments section, and that person was getting a prize. And I have some other things to give away to you guys this week too, by the way. We've got a dead Leaf Mantis sticker here. I've got a Vinegaroon sticker here. Both of these are from shapesofnature.com. My very good friend Jesse Green makes stickers and t-shirts. I'm often wearing his t-shirts in the videos. And then a copy of Invertebrates Magazine from my other friend Oren McMonagle. Anyway, I lost my train of thought there a little bit. Like I said, we're going to wander a little bit. Bugs in Cyberspace was broken. I had to shut down portions of the website because I'll just tell you guys the number just to put it in perspective for you. And I'm not saying this to brag. I'm not saying this to complain. You know, there's that old famous line, are you bragging or complaining? I'm venting. That's what this video is probably mostly about. I'm asking for your understanding, and in some cases, a little bit of forgiveness. I was so overwhelmed this week, made a few mistakes on orders, not too many actually, a few things showed up dead. Had a couple customers get upset with me. We ran out of squirt bottles, for example, spray bottles. I normally purchase those and resell them as part of my mantis habitat kits. I had to write a couple of my customers and let them know that we had, because of the volume of orders we had received, run out of those squirt bottles. And my supplier for them, I'm not able to source them currently because apparently firefighters and medical professionals are buying all of those squirt bottles up because they are using them, they're putting sanitizer, hand sanitizer and disinfectant and things like that in them. And so there's a shortage of them. So I had one guy get rather mad at me, and maybe he's watching this video and maybe he'll comment and be consistent in the way that he behaved towards me in his comments. Like I told him in my last email, I said what I had to say after he said what he had to say, and he's welcome to say whatever else he needs to say, because that's just how it goes. We do our best. I wasn't able to get his order out on time because of the spray bottles. I wrote to him, letting him know about the fact that we were short on the squirt bottles. He wrote back that next day, and I told him I'd get his order out that same day in an email, but later I had to email him again because we were so overwhelmed with orders, and apologize to him that we weren't able to get his order out that day. And then he vented. And of course he has some right to vent, but certain words were used, certain turns of phrase were used, and I didn't appreciate them. So I canceled his order. Why? Because I can. There is almost no point in running your own business from home if you aren't going to try to create a perfect life for yourself, if you aren't going to make your own happiness the most important thing. And you guys snuck up on me this past week. I've approached saying this a few times. I'm not even sure I want to admit it out loud. I know a lot of people are out of work right now. I actually laid off that employee because I thought that with one of my other businesses being dead right now, the deadinsects.net website, that I was not going to be getting very many orders with, you know, a fifth of the country being on out of work right now, laid off, or on unemployment. But I was wrong. It turns out that everybody is shopping online right now. People have extra time on their hands, and I have gotten slammed with orders, and Jessica and I have been working our butts off. In the first 3 weeks of this month, from April 1st until April 21st, you guys placed 534 orders through the website as of 11:59 p.m. on the 21st. That is a lot of orders. That probably sounds like more orders than you guys could conceive of. You have heard me say on this channel that I do ship a lot of orders, and that I do work as many as 16 hours a day, as I've already said. And yeah, you guys broke me. You guys broke me the last 3 weeks, and this last week in particular. For the first time ever, I had to institute on the website a $40 minimum order, and that's preemptive. That's to help me manage this next week, this last week of April. It was just too much. It was really just too much. But having said all of that, thank you guys very much. It's been a valuable learning experience for me in being careful about regulating my inventory. Many of you probably went to my website and noticed that a lot of things were out of stock in the past couple days. Well, that's on purpose, because I was so far behind that I didn't want to update anything else, because I need to be very careful about how many orders I take in, because it's very time consuming and also very disappointing. It's time consuming for me, but it's disappointing to my customers when I can't meet my service goals. I probably was only late on shipping per the terms and conditions, which I did revise throughout the week, in shipping orders to about 5 customers. But since I haven't been late in shipping to customers for years, it really bothered me. It's not something that I like to do. And in a couple cases, I didn't even have time to write to those customers and let them know their order was going to be delayed by 1 day. And then in the case of another customer, their order was actually delayed by a couple days, some substrate orders. The substrates are very time consuming for me to make. And usually I have an extra person on hand here who does make the majority of those substrates, like the millipede substrate, the isopod substrate, the beetle compost. I usually have people helping me with that, as well as packing orders, but I have been taking on all of those responsibilities myself. Jessica, who works for me, and by the way, I want to give her a little bit of a plug. She also has a business of her own here in the Portland, Oregon area called the Portland Insectarium, and she often sponsors some of the contests on my YouTube channel here with her products, including her stickers and her coloring and activity book, and a few other things too. So quick shout out to her for that. Her website is pdxinsectarium.org, and you guys have heard her voice in the background of some of my videos before, I'm sure. And if you're on Instagram, you've seen her in the videos as well. And she's just a wonderful person, a friend, and a very valuable, unexpectedly valuable asset for the business. When I hired her on about 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, I can't remember how long it's been now, but she's exceeded all of the expectations I could have in an employee, and her knowledge, I mean, she went to college and at higher levels than I ever did. I went for 6 years. She went for at least that many years, and she was in the entomology, zoology, spider lab program down at Portland State University and everything like that. So, and just a genuinely intelligent person who, makes my workday a lot easier, but also educates me on bugs and spiders and stuff in particular. So anyway, a very tough week for both of us, and I've had a lot of tough times over the years. As you know, I've had my website up for 23 years. I've gone through a lot of changes in the business. One of the major steps, probably 8 or 9 years ago, I was working full-time at UPS and building this business on the side for many years before that even. Again, my website has been up since 1997. 2020 now, maybe around 2011 or so, 2012, I was working full-time at UPS, and through a laborious process, I was able, and partly because I was a shop steward through the Teamsters Union at UPS, I was able to convince both the union and UPS, the company, to allow me to go back from full-time work to part-time work. And that was against the agreement that the company and the union, the Teamsters Union, is a very strong union, and UPS is a very large, Fortune 500, top 20 company. I, on a non-precedence setting basis, was able to somehow convince both the union and the company to allow me, and I don't know if they'd ever done this for another person, but I convinced them to allow me to go back to part-time. That's a whole nother story about how I did that. But my business had grown to such a point that I needed to go back to part-time or quit. But I didn't really want to quit because UPS offers wonderful benefits, and even for part-time workers, medical, dental, vision benefits that were very important to myself, my wife at the time, and our 3 children. And so I went back to part-time. And then, things were great because, I had all of this extra time that I didn't have before, that extra 4 hours in a day, that adds up to 20 hours in a week. That's a lot when you're sort of transitioning to suddenly have 20 more hours in your week. A few years after that, I was able to, through more constant and careful negotiations, to convince my wife to allow me to quit my job. Now, she was working full-time also. After I quit my job at UPS and I was able to devote myself to my business entirely, I worked on that for maybe a year, and the business was doing really well. Having that extra time to put into it, it grew larger. And then I convinced my wife to work from home with me. And that turned out to be not the greatest thing for our relationship, but we made a good go of it for 2 or 3 years. And we also had a part-time employee who turned out to be Jessica, who I spoke about a little bit ago. and the three of us ran the business really well. And then I got a divorce, and then I moved here to this new house. And before I left the old house, I lived there for a year after my divorce, before I sold the house. And I had 2 employees at that time. And the business runs really efficiently with 3 people. It's really sort of the golden number for running this business on the basis of how many orders we typically have. But anyway, it's always been a game of like growing the business to a point where it's just too much and then I have to make some kind of change. Very recently, I just didn't see this situation coming with everybody suddenly shopping online and overwhelming my business. So it's been a really crazy month of April, and especially this last week where, you know, Monday morning I saw that I had 207 orders in my shipping queue, which meant that, you know, between Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, I had to get out 207 orders. And by I had to, I mean me and Jessica. And we had to add on Thursday as a shipping day also, even though a few weeks ago I said I wasn't going to ship on Thursdays anymore. It was kind of going to be my new schedule based on expecting to have fewer orders. Anyway, long story short, it was a long, hard struggle this week, and I'm glad it's Thursday night. I'm glad that we got all but 13 of those 207 or more orders out in the last few days. And there are 13 orders that, for reasons of weather, some places too hot, some places too cold, some cases where the customer wanted to add some things and didn't get their additions in on time, whatever. But I had to add that $40 minimum order to the website. I had to take substrates off the website because they were just very time consuming to make. This is my video this week. It's just a little bit of a rant. It's a little bit of an apology. It's a little bit of an explanation. It's a little bit of an expression about, you know, how overwhelmed I was. It's a little bit of, it's just a little bit of creating awareness for you guys, my subscribers, here on YouTube, about how thin I typically stretch myself because I like it. I love my business. I love my customers. I love bugs, but bugs in cyberspace broke this week. And I wanted to be making a video last week. I had to put those Arizona clips together because I just didn't have time. I mean, videos like this, not this one here, but where I do a care video like the millipede video or the recent dung beetle video, it literally will take me, you know, the entire day on Thursday, and then I upload it Thursday night, usually like after midnight. It uploads for a couple hours to the YouTube website, and then in the morning I type in the caption where, you know, I explain what the video is about, and, you know, I make a couple other little changes, and then I make it go live. I publish it. I haven't had the time for that, and I don't have the time or the energy. I mean, you see how passionate I am. I talk quick. I've got lots of things to say. I always do. It's not that I don't have the physical energy, but really the emails. There are so many emails and so many Instagram messages all the time. Having a website up for 23 years, it's a really long time. A lot of people reach out to me and ask me questions, not just about sales. In fact, proportionately few of the correspondence, emails, messages I get are actually about sales. And it has been an overwhelming last week. And so I'm managing the situation this week. I'm not just venting a little bit here. I'm taking the easy way out a little bit by making this particular video. But, you know, that's part of what YouTube is. It's about building a relationship with your audience. It's about being a real person. It's about you know, connecting with them, letting them know that, you know, we're all going through this situation together. It may be different for all of us. Some people are out of work. Some people who have online businesses, Amazon, you know, like grocery stores, hospitals, you know, this is very overwhelming for some of us. And, you know, I'm actually, through my website, managing it so that, you know, like I'm effectively turning orders away right now by not allowing, you know, purchases for 2 death feigning beetles, for example. You know, and I feel bad for not being able to, you know, like there's a parent out there right now who wants to go to my website and order just 2 death feigning beetles and can't afford the $40 minimum purchase. They just want the 2 beetles. Their kids have been out of school for 4 months, or, you know, a couple months. You know, here in Oregon, the kids don't get out of school until June, but they're not going back to school. They'll have been out of school for 4 months. We've got high school. My daughter graduated from high school last year. She has a lot of friends at high school who don't get to have a graduation ceremony this year, and they don't get to have prom and things like that. So, you know, it's a hard time for all of us. For one reason or another, everybody's experiencing this COVID-19 thing a little bit differently.
Hey, if you like me, give me one of those thumbs up, and please subscribe and hit the little bell so you know when I post next. Please share me with your friends on social media. Thank you for watching.